fan.
Time now for sports and law. Tom Brady suspended for the first 4 games of the season. Earlier this week, a federal appeals court reinstated the quarterback's Deflategate suspension by overturning a lower court's ruling. The appeals court determined that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell acted within his powers in handing down the original suspension. Now, Brady's suspension was vacated just before the start of last season by a federal judge, leading to the NFL's appeal. Let's welcome in CSN Bay Area legal analyst Steve Moskowitz, who joins us now, and there's a lot to sift through here. Brady, we can expect, and the NFLPA has said, will not let this go. So what is the next step now?
First of all, this is a bum rap. Now, he could ask the same 3 judges to rehear it. That would be a big mistake. But I bet he does what Barry Bonds did successfully. He'll ask the entire court to hear it, and they can overturn like they did with Barry. And one of the things we have going for them, although they don't do that a lot, is this was split 2-1, and the one judge that voted for him was the chief judge.
Now, Barry's case took a long time. This suspension is supposed to start in September.
No, perfect. He's 38 years old. You get a stay. This could go on for years. By the time this would be over, he says, well, I'm hanging up my cleats.
Could it really?
Sure. Well, the court, in their infinite wisdom, will decide how quickly or slowly they want to move.
And so if he goes through this process beginning now, what's the likelihood you think that we see him? They start their season the 2nd week of September. Do you think he'll be playing in that game?
Now, again, getting this granted is rare, but in this case, I think he has a good shot, because also, this is basically a case of a union man against an employer, and a lot of people are interested in that.
If he loses again, then what? Is there another?
He could ask the United States Supreme Court to hear the case. That would be extremely unlikely.
Wait a second. Why is this illegal? Why is this in the courts to begin with?
Because he was unfairly, severely punished, and that's the whole idea of the case, where the judges are saying, look, the commission, well, the trial judge said the commissioner went way beyond the powers that were granted to him, and this is just wrong. The appeals court reversed and said, but he exercised the powers that were given to him. Now he'll ask for the whole court to say, look, this is out of line. There's a limit to somebody's powers.
Well, why did he lose this time, or why did the NFL win this appeal?
Because the other 2 judges, and they talked about it in their opinion, said they are not deciding whether he did it or not. That's not their concern. They're only deciding did the commissioner exceed his powers? And the 2 judges said, no, he acted within the collective bargaining agreement.
And why do you believe that he did not, then?
Because he got way out of line. Look at his punishment compared to the other punishments. And again, look at the evidence. You have somebody that said, look, I did these studies, and I think it's more likely than not. The evidence isn't there. You're damning somebody for not sufficient evidence. He said he didn't do it, and the evidence isn't that strong. You have a report, and that report it's an expert witness, but it's for the other side. How can that be used against this guy? It just isn't fair. It's not American jurisdiction.
So ultimately, you believe that despite the fact that obviously part of this ruling, as you said, was that the judges were not determining whether the two judges were not determining whether or not he did it. They just determined that Roger Goodell had the right to do what he did.
Exactly.
Why then, again, why then will this other part of the evidence, which you're indicating is something that he believes, or you believe he didn't do, be part of this conversation?
Because law is a matter of somebody's opinion. And law is really what those in power at the time says it is. 2 say yes, 1 say no. The full court can say, I don't agree. This is a matter of opinion, and they split.
If you were negotiating on the side of the Players Association during the next collective bargaining agreement, would you insist that somehow they find a way to reduce the amount of power Roger Goodell has?
Absolutely. This was a bum deal, and the power is being grossly abused. And if you look at things, even countries, when somebody abuses power, that's how you have revolutions.
I'm glad you mentioned countries and revolutions. Let's go to France then, because another story this week involves a 14-time Grand Slam winner, Rafael Nadal. He's suing France's former Minister for Health and Sport for defamation. The minister accused Nadal of doping last month on French television, saying that his 7th-month injury hiatus back in 2012 was, quote, probably due to a positive doping test.
I think he did a dopey thing by doing that. And we actually checked the French statutes in the office this afternoon, and it's different over there. What happens is that the person making the allegations, the defendant here, has to prove that what he said is true. And the player said, you know what? I'm ordering all my tests, all the details be released. You look at everything, and you show me where I was doping.
And the difference being that here a public figure has the onus on them.
It's not just that. They have public figure over there, too, but they don't make as big a deal out of it over there as they do here. And the big thing is where the defendant has to prove that he was telling the truth. And you have all these independent blood tests, and he says, look, there's nothing there. Basically, all that you said was mere speculation and conjecture. That's your thought. That's your idea. You can't just besmirch me on what you happen to think. Come on.
Moskowitz, we'll see you courtside at the Warrior game.
Always a pleasure.